Well. We just got a little update from Yoshi. I'm sure everybody freaked out, wondering if it was the big update, but we've got a couple changes to talk about. However, Yoshi has also confirmed that the big update is looking to be a few days away. Now, what does a few days mean? Could it mean this week? I mean, in my mind, here's kind of my theory, right? Is a few days can't be tomorrow, because otherwise you would say tomorrow, right? So it's not going to be tomorrow, but it also can't be next week, because otherwise you would say next week, right? So really that only leaves Thursday and Friday. So to me, that's what it makes sense. And then I started theorizing about that, and I was talking with a few friends about this kind of theory crafting, and I was like, wait, I need to touch some grass. I'm spending my time theory crafting about the potential drop date of a video game release. And I mean, that, you know, we're all a little bit addicted to Deadlock, but realistically, the update is soon. That's all we know. How soon, who knows? But from the sounds of it, this week, because like I said, if it was next week, I would have used a different wording. But we'll see. However, it seems that they didn't want to ship all of it in one patch, because there's some pretty significant balance changes to the games that were just released in a small patch. So let me show you guys what we're working with. All right, so this was actually just kind of made as a comment on the previous patch. So if you look, this was the December 29th patch, and then he made another comment on December 30th, and then 17 minutes ago, Yoshi made yet another comment. So let me zoom in a little bit for those of you that might be watching on mobile, so that we can clearly see what the changes are. So the first change that we're looking at is respawn time at 19 minutes has been reduced by 5 seconds, and the respawn time at 30 minutes has also been reduced by 5 seconds. Now, in order for this to kind of balance it out, I was like, why are they reducing respawn times? It doesn't really feel like respawn times are too short. But then when you read the next line, it's starting to make sense. You now have a longer respawn time if you die and are meaningfully richer than the enemy team's average net worth. Scales from plus 6 seconds to plus 22 seconds penalty, based on net worth being 15 to 30% higher. So basically, if your net worth is 15% higher, you get 6 seconds added. If your net worth is 30% higher, you get 22 seconds added. And this is depending on the game time as well. Sorry, actually, it doesn't exactly scale that way. It probably scales with game time as well. So 6 seconds is like the lowest you can get. I would guess at 10 minutes if you're 15%, and the highest you can get is 22 seconds if you're 30% ahead at 25 minutes, right? And it's kind of a gradient. I'm sure someone can figure it out, but basically it's between 6 and 22 seconds added to your respawn based on the factors of game time and how much richer you are. And this change is really, really significant to the meta, because right now, I think you guys have probably seen this in your own games. There's a lot of times where the game is just determined by just one really rich player that kind of scales above everybody else, like whether it be a Wraith, whether it be, you know, like a Warden, or it doesn't really matter, but very often you'll see kind of one person run away with the lobby. I've received this comment a lot from lower ranked players that I talk to as well. And so basically what this does is that this will heavily punish someone for being like way richer than everybody else, and you'll get rewarded for killing someone that is richer, right? Because they'll be dead for longer. So if the Wraith on the enemy team has 40,000 net worth and the Page has 20,000 net worth, well, you'll get rewarded for killing the Wraith more if the Wraith's net worth is significantly ahead your team's average, which it would be if she was like way ahead of everyone. I like this change because I don't want Deadlock to go down the route of being super hyper carry focused and with, you know, funneling your net worth into one person and, you know, that person not really being punished. So I like this change. Of course, I am biased. I'm not a carry player. I suspect that we'll see a different narrative from carry players who are probably not going to like this change. It's just worse for them, right? But it's also going to incentivize kind of like farming and stacking up your farm on one person less. Similarly, to kind of go against the farming, we got neutral respawn times, HP, and bounty reduced by 30%. Doesn't affect the sinner sacrifices. What this means is that all the neutrals are 30% easier to do, right? And I'll show you what that looks like. Just give me 1 second. Of course, the neutrals scale with game time, so this is not going to be a 100% accurate kind of representation, because as the time progresses, the neutrals scale. So normally it wouldn't be 0 minutes. But before, let's say I'm playing Lash and I've got, you know, kind of like my items, you know, whatever they are, I would pretty much need to ignore tier 3 camps. However, now that they're 30% weaker, Lash will be able to like farm tier 3 camps a lot easier. Now, like I said, this is not an accurate representation. Of course, I kind of have no items and I'm still dying. So you're not going to see like Lash farming tier 3 camps at 8 minutes. But this means that the tier 3 camps and the jungle in general will be more accessible to pretty much everyone. Right? So even though the amount of souls per minute on the map will technically be the same because, you know, sure, they're worth 30% less, but they also respawn 30% faster, so it kind of evens out, right? There's not actually any souls left. This will affect two things. One thing that it will affect is that it's going to democratize access to jungle, right? So as Lash or as any hero that's kind of like a more spirit hero that previously could never farm tier 3s, and now it's going to be a lot easier to do tier 3s, especially if you've got a teammate to help you, right? Like sharing, for example, doing this tier 3 camp on the side with a teammate early at 8 minutes is going to be a lot easier than previously it was. So that's one thing it's going to affect. So I think overall, we're going to see the teams should have a little bit more souls because the jungle is going to be a little easier to clear and you're going to get access to more camps, right? So overall, the economy is going to get sped up a little bit, but it'll be less concentrated on, you know, one or a few people. And the other thing that you're going to see is this is a massive cultist nerf, okay? So not everybody's going to be talking about it at first. But Cultist is dramatically affected by this change because previously, if you bought Cultist, okay, and you ate a tier 3 camp, you gained about 800 souls, right? Now, I'm 2 minutes in, so of course it's not super accurate, but look how many souls I'm going to get. So here, I'm at 600 souls. If you look at the top, now I eat this, I'm at 8,000 souls. So I gained 400 souls from Cultist. Now, I think in a real game at 8 minutes, it'd probably be more like 500 or maybe 550, something like that. But before it was 800. So that means that Cultist is severely nerfed from how much money you get from tier 3s. And not only that, but tier 3s are just more accessible in general, right? So one of the reasons a lot of heroes bought Cultist is because you could print souls that you couldn't otherwise obtain because you were never able to farm the tier 3 camp. So just being able to eat it was extremely significant. So I'm looking forward to see how Cultist will be affected. I think it's still going to be bought just because it does still generate money, right? So generating more money is always good, but it definitely is another nerf for the item. And then the third thing that's going to happen is, generally speaking, at the 15 to 25 minute mark, I've talked about this in my podcast, but a lot of the time, all the jungle was farmed, right? So if you look on the map, like pretty much everything would be gone on the map at like 15 to 25 minutes. And all there would be to do would be just not die. Like, let's say your team had a 10k lead at the top, you were winning, you had full map control, and there was 1 or 2 walkers left, but forcing the walkers was really risky, and there was no jungle left, and you were up 10-15k. All you had to do was just kind of nothing, right? Especially if the urn was not available. So I think that these 3 changes are absolutely massive for how the game should play out. And I'm really, really excited because I think that it should make the game a lot more fun, because now that the jungle respawns more frequently, that means that there should be more things to do on average. Now, some people may think this may result to people AFK jungling a little bit more, and it might at first, but having the jungle respawn more often means that there are more things to fight over, which should incentivize fights. Now, of course, we'll see how it plays out. It's kind of hard to say, but, you know, that's why we're playtesting. Now, going back to the changes, we've got another massive change, which is the urn no longer requires a drop-off channel time, okay? So the urn, it's literally instant. So this urn no longer requiring a drop-off channel time is completely massive and should, in theory, nerf any heroes that can cheese. For example, Viscous used to be able to punch you off the channel over and over. Now, if you just get there fast enough and you get it, if it's instant, which it sounds like it is, it won't like matter as much. However, now Viscous, the urn gets knocked out of your hands with a light melee instead of with only a heavy melee. Now, I haven't tested this. My question about this is, do abilities like Calico or Billy count as light melees as well? My guess would be yes, like even maybe Bebop Uppercut, right? So this might affect a lot of abilities to be able to knock the urn out of your hands. Urn pickup channel time is reset if you get hit with a light or heavy melee. Can no longer parry while channeling to pick up the urn, so that's a nice quality of life. And the urn carrier is not as strong as he was because now you don't have to channel it. And then to finish it off, we've got down dashes, stamina cost reduced by 0.5. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar with a down dash, let me show you what it is. It's this thing right here. So if you double tap crouch, you down dash like this. And this was a movement tech that was barely used because 1 stamina cost for this was very, very punishing, and it wasn't actually really that useful. So they see nobody's using it, so they're buffing it. So I think that's a great change. And then finally, stamina regen in the healing zone is now dramatically increased, and kinetic dash ammo count from +8 to +6. We've talked about why this item is problematic. It's very, very strong. The amount of ammo it gives is extremely significant. So +6 is a change in the right direction. I don't like it giving flat ammo at all, but clearly to them, they want to keep going in that direction, but they're nerfing the amount because they realize 8 is perhaps a little bit much. Because on pretty much every single hero, it's better than Titanic. On every single low mag hero, it's better than Titanic mag. These are the changes we got today. Now, big update should be coming soon. So expect a lot of new videos very, very soon. Stay tuned for that. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day.